Now welcome to another edition of News from Naboo with Thor's Lightning Takes. And let's get right to the news.
Alright, I found an interview with Genevieve O'Reilly, who plays Mon Mothma, not just in Andor anymore, but also in Ahsoka. Genevieve O'Reilly kind of exclaimed that she was actually surprised that she was going to be back in Star Wars, after that cut scene in Revenge of the Sith.
Oh yeah, she...
The delegation...
Of 2000, yeah.
Yeah. So
yeah,
then...
those were the systems that weren't on board with some of Palpatine's ideas.
I feel like she's really established herself in Andor. She is a key character. She's very exciting to watch on screen. I mean, she's playing the diplomatic character very well.
She went from a character who's seen in Return of the Jedi, like, briefly, and it's like, oh yeah, there's your rebellion leader, and she's gonna give a little speech, and let's go get him.
And then we see her in Star Wars Rebels, where she gives a little speech.
Yeah. So you're kind of like, I mean, she's in other places. She's in new canon books and EU. So it's not like the only place. But as for on screen, like, you only ever kind of see, like, oh, here's this symbol of the rebellion. But Andor is like, nah, she's not just a symbol. She's got a husband and a daughter and some problems with both of those.
Yeah, she's got family problems, marital problems, political
problems, yeah. She's kind of, we see her starting the rebellion in the shadows and how dangerous that is.
Well, she kind of reveals that her role in Ahsoka is actually smaller than in Andor, which does not surprise.
No surprise at all.
She's not a main character like she is in Andor. And the opportunity to play Mon Mothma at a different point in her life with this drama in Andor, she was very intrigued by it. She says, "It was fascinating that they asked me. It was such a surprise. I was really thrilled that Jon Favreau and Dave Filoni were interested in me coming in for a minute to play with them. They're such brilliant filmmakers. It was just thrilling for me to be able to go over and play with them for a bit. I'm a huge fan of Rosario. She's a brilliant and formidable woman and actor. I think what they're doing with that piece is going to be really exciting. Mary Elizabeth Winstead is a wonderful actor, and to get to work with her was also amazing." It felt extraordinary for Mon to get the opportunity to enter a different world again, and perhaps that's because I'm so invested in Andor. But when John and Dave rang and spoke so passionately about Mon, and made it clear that they really wanted her to be in Ahsoka, I felt humbled that they were inviting me to come and join them. They're brilliant storytellers and filmmakers at the cutting edge. What they're doing over there, and how they use the volume, they film in a very different way than how we filmed Andor. That was really exciting and informative for me to go over there and learn how they do that, because using different kind of cutting-edge technology to inform the piece, it's a very different way of filmmaking. I was grateful to have the opportunity to be a part of that.
Yeah, it's a totally different point in her life. It's interesting if there will be any kind of relation to Andor, any mention of her family. I mean, you almost don't want to because...
They can't spoil it.
Yeah, but like just some sort of like tidbit of like a mention of a husband or a daughter, not even telling you.
And just mentioning a husband. I mean, he could have died and she got remarried. We wouldn't know if it was still Perrin.
Well, sure, but you know what I'm saying. Just a little tidbit, a little taste.
No, they can't. They can't spoil what happens.
No. You don't have to spoil it. Just I want a little something to make reference to the fact that
she's in the other show.
That this is the same Mon Mothma who's been through the same crap that one is going through right now.
But she said it was only for a minute. I also kind of find interest in her phrasing of things. Like, Genevieve O'Reilly seems almost as political as her character. She talks about how it was interesting and informative and exciting. She never says it was good or better. I'm just saying. She's like, oh, it's different from how we're filming. Okay.
It is. Well, yeah.
Yes, they're using cutting-edge technology to inform the piece. It's a different way of filming. She never says that she enjoyed it.
True.
Or anything like that. I mean, yes, you get to see the image. The actors can see what the volume is showing. But it's not the same as being in an actual environment, feeling totally immersed.
I would imagine...
It's still better than green screen, yes. I'll give them that.
I mean, I'd imagine it's always better to have it just physically there, not just projected. I mean, we've talked a lot about the volume, and I think it's incredible technology, and I think they've only kind of scratched the surface of what to do with it. But come on, it's always better to be there, to have physical objects around you. And
yeah. Well, I think even both Diego Luna and Fiona Shaw have mentioned the fact that when they were like in Marva's house, they were like, "Oh, well, I'm opening a cupboard. Like I want to have something to open and do over here, and open them. Like, we guys should put something in this drawer." And you open them, like there's already stuff in there.
Yeah,
like
that's it gets you just into it, right?
It feels so real that you could easily lose yourself in the role. I'm sure.
Yeah,
So I really think old school filmmaking needs to stay. It shouldn't die out. I mean, I don't need everything to be green screened and volumed. I like the actual scope of it looking like it's being there. You have to do a fantastic job with editing if you're not actually,
Yeah.
Dune still felt huge and cinematic without, obviously, them being on a sand planet.
On Arrakis. I have this sinking feeling that eventually, with AI and the prominence it's likely to have in the near future, that old school filmmaking is going to become this like niche thing where every now and then someone makes a film the old way. I mean, how close are we to AI being able to literally just render everything and actors and voices? And
I don't want to think about that future.
No, I don't really want to think about that either, because I think
Once
that's we're gonna lose
us, then what is our value?
Yeah, you're gonna kind of lose the heart and soul of filmmaking if that happens.
All right, but let's
Sorry, I'm getting
we're off topic
a little too
already.
deep again, aren't I? Yeah.
She also spoke about Mon Mothma's character in Andor and how she approaches her character in that point in her life. She said, "Well, I think that in Tony's writing, from my experience within Star Wars, this is the first time it's really been humanized for me. He's made it grittier, more complex, more human, more pedestrian. She's a mother, and she lives her life within a complicated marriage. I always knew that she would be fighting the Empire on the floor of the Senate, but I didn't expect her to be stepping into the Empire at home as well. What a juicy thing for an actor to discover and then get to wrestle with. Those scenes in her home where she can carve out allies and speak of rebellion, maybe for the first time. The idea that there's not a formulated rebellion, and you have to carve it from nothing, that you have to wade in that danger and discover that she could lose everything. The cost that this woman lives with was deeply juicy for me."
Yeah, who knows what Perrin is doing and thinking.
I mean, she hit the nail on the head. I mean,
Yeah.
the fact that she knows her driver's been replaced and that she's being watched and has to set up these little traps.
Yeah, these little meetings with Luthen.
I mean, she's worried about where her money is being funneled. She knows where her money's going, and she has to kind of make it better.
Not look that way.
So she pretty much sets her husband up like, "You've been gambling."
Oh, God, that was brilliant.
Yeah, she says it deliberately in front of the driver so he can hear their argument about her gambling.
It was so brilliant.
Oh, it was great.
That some people just didn't get it.
They're like, "Oh, Perrin's gambling now?" And I'm like,
Yeah, I
no,
know.
he's not.
I know.
She said it in front of the driver so that the driver would report back that this is what happened with the money.
And Perrin's genuine defensive reaction sells it. It's brilliant.
It is,
and like I said,
absolutely.
it's so brilliant that I saw people, and I've heard people that I've talked to, kind of like, I didn't get that scene. Like, why would Perrin be... No. He's not. She set it up.
He's covering for the money that she
it's
lost.
Great. That's why I love that
She
show.
gave to the rebellion. The money she's funneling into the rebellion has to be accounted for by tax season.
Yep.
Imperial tax season.
God, that's got to be worse than our tax season,
So-
and that's something.
So she covered it up by blaming Perrin, which explains why they've been talking to maybe a dubious person to put that money back. And they're like, "Oh, don't worry, she's not funneling a rebellion, just gambling problems."
Yeah, Perrin's got gambling problems.
Yeah.
It's brilliant, but it shows this little cruelty out of Mon Mothma, right? It's again showing what the rebellion has to do.
Yeah.
You're kind of sacrificing your husband.
She
and
had
granted,
no choice.
Yeah, granted they have marital issues, as we've seen, but the things you have to do, the things you don't even think about, that's what I find fascinating about Andor. It's highlighting the things that, you just look at the rebellion, oh yeah, you're fighting the Empire, but you don't see the cost, you don't see these little subtle things that these characters are going to have to go through. That's what I love about the show. One of the things I love about the show.
Yeah, it's crazy smart.
Yeah.
The writing is absolutely
It's brilliant, yeah.
top-notch brilliance. She also talks about her relationship with Stellan Skarsgård and the nature of Mon Mothma and Luthen Rael's relationship in Andor, which is very interesting. Because at first you kind of think they're allies, and then you're like, well, maybe they're not exactly allies. They're on the same side, but they have different agendas.
Yeah, that's a facet to the rebellion. And you understand why it takes so long for them to kind of gel together.
Mm-hmm. She says, "Stellan is a dream. He and I got on famously with each other. These two characters are fascinating because within Tony's world, there was nothing of the black and white that there was in previous Star Wars installments. We're not Empire or Rebellion. We're merely under the oppressive blanket of the Empire. I really can only speak for Mon. She has to find new allies while risking some allies too. You can see that same relationship between Mon and Luthen serves both of them in very different ways. She's using everything she has to fund his activities, yet at its core, it also feels like these two people are really different in the way they approach things, and that there is a sense of danger there. In one of their scenes in Season 1, in her naivety, she calls him out on his opacity, and that he hadn't been honest with her. I think they're a fascinating pair because they're moving in the same direction, but they're approaching it from polarizing positions."
Yeah, I think she wants to be more principled.
Yeah, she wants everything to go about its way in a orderly fashion,
Yes.
in the best way possible. She doesn't want to do anything underhanded to achieve their goal.
No, or as little as possible, shall we say.
But he understands that driving people further into despair will get more people to rebel, which she doesn't want people to be suffering to build a rebellion, where she sees that as the only way to do it.
Yeah, people need to know how bad it can get in order to get them to act.
It's what he said. He's sacrificing his soul for this.
Oh, yeah.
He knows what he's doing is horrible.
Yeah, he knows as he says, he's using the tools of, his enemy against them in a way. And he's using them against his own people. The people he's trying to help and protect are the people who are suffering the most from his actions. But in the long run, he's hoping to liberate them. It's, again, these are the things I love about the show. Yeah, he is. And he's never going to get the gratitude that he, in a way, deserves for his sacrifice, and in a way doesn't because of the misery he's bringing on at the same time.
Yeah.
It's complicated.
She also kind of had one last thing to say. It was about the critical reception of Andor. She says, it really meant so much that the fans put their arms around Andor. It feels like a very different piece of work from other Star Wars projects, so it could have been something that they didn't enjoy. But the fans have loved it, are invested in it, and are curious about it. They've gone with Tony's vision, so it felt really special to share that and for it to be received, not with apathy, but with excitement and gratitude. People really, really understood what we were working towards. They really liked the textured grittiness of the show and really saw the humanity within it too. That fan base is such a special and passionate group of people. It meant so much for us that they liked it. Now we're filming season 2, and I can't be anything but excited for them. Oh my gosh, it's this massive juggernaut of storytelling, and all those fans kind of know where it's going. Andor felt like something really new when it started, but now everybody's invested in that world as well as these deeper, slightly different versions of these characters. Everything is really driving to a very exciting finish. We're in the middle of filming season 2 right now, and I'm as desperate to share it as people are to see it. So I'll have to wait 12 months.
Bring it on.
Bring it on indeed.
Yeah, I mean,
as long as it doesn't get delayed.
Yeah, I mean, there's certainly an element of the fan base that hasn't enjoyed it, which is completely fine. I don't care if people don't like it, one way or the other. To each their own, but I think it's fantastic. And I do wish people who don't like it could appreciate it, but they don't, so that's fine.
Well, at least give it a try if you've not seen it.
Well, I think most people...
It may not be your cup of tea, but you might come to enjoy it quite a bit.
Which is fine. I just, personally, I think it fits into Star Wars so well, because Star Wars is about the good versus the evil, right? And yet here is this element of gray explored in a very fascinating way.
Well, and there has to be gray.
Exactly.
Not everyone is good or evil.
Yeah, I love that the mainline trilogy films, the George Lucas films, they are all about the core themes, right? But there is room to explore that in between.
Well, and while they are about the core themes, it's because they're following three
characters, yeah, a handful of characters.
And you could even say that Han is a little bit of a gray himself.
He is, yeah.
I mean, he starts out, he's not doing the right thing. He's not living the right life. He's smuggling and running spice for crime lord Jabba the Hutt. It catches up to him. But he's paired with Princess Leia, who is a true-hearted
Yeah, you get your
child
paragons of good in there and your paragons of evil.
Yeah,
but not everybody
same with
is. Luke. Yeah, exactly. Mm-hmm. But not everybody falls into those categories in the universe, and it's fun to explore that.
It just so happens that the ones we are following are those people.
Exactly. Yeah.
It's not like we kept following to see what other characters did throughout the rebellion.
Yeah, I love classic style Star Wars. I think it's fantastic. I love just the idea that there are good people and they try to stop bad people, but sometimes the good people, you got to do some shady things to stop the bad people, and that's what Andor is all about. It's not just we're all going to get together, we're going to uphold these morals and principles, and we're going to fight with an ethical code. It doesn't always quite work that way, and that's what Andor is showing us, and I think it's fascinating.
Absolutely.
All right, well, I rambled on too much, so other stories we'll have to wait for tomorrow, I guess.
Suppose so.
That's my fault.
Yeah, it is.
So
usually is.
So for now, that's all we got for you this time. Now it's your turn to take to the comments below and tell us what you think about anything that Genevieve O'Reilly had to say here, and let's talk some Star Wars. And until next time, thanks for watching.